it is so painful. Actually, to one who has passed through that, I know it is not easy to accept it. It has been a journey. When I went to the hospital, the doctor did a checkup on me. Then that's when he instructed I had to undergo a surgery. I had to drop out of school because of stress, depression. So for a full term 3 of term 2, I didn't attend. So when I came back the following year, I had to repeat.
Hello there and welcome to yet another episode of Kaleke's Health Moments, where as usual we live healthy, one story at a time. Our guest today is going to share his traumatic experience. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
My name is Daniel Kamau Irungu.
Yes.
I'm from Muranga.
Yeah.
Kiharu, a place known as Matidi. That's where we live currently. But it's after vacating from where we were originally living with our grandparents, but later on we moved. Yeah, I'm born in a family of 12. I'm the 9th born. So we have the other of the siblings. Yeah.
As hard as it is to talk about, there's something traumatic that happened in your life. Can you please share it with us?
Okay, let me just be brief and start from at my younger age.
Yes.
I was brought up just like a normal child.
Yes.
Just like I said, we were 12. But by the time I was born, some were all already grown up.
Yeah.
And they had moved. So I started school in Matidi Primary School. I did my KCP 2012. But I repeated due to lack of finances, so that by the time I was finishing 2013, my parents would get some cash to take me to high school. So I managed and finished my class 8, then joined Merida Secondary. That was my first school to be admitted, the secondary. So I studied there for a year. Then the school was not that well off in performance. There was a school in Muranga town which was more better. So I had to transfer to Vidhuramji Academy. So after transferring, I couldn't manage to walk all the way from home, from Matidi to Muranga, because it is more of 20 kilometers and above around there. So I couldn't manage to walk every morning, and by 6 I was supposed to be in class. So I had to have an option. So I moved to my grandmother's place, which is around Kamuiro, Canberra. So from there it is around 12 kilometers. I would manage at least. So that one fine morning, let me say, we used to go at a crowd tukiwa wengi, because
you used to go as a group.
Yeah, as a group, because the place that we were passing, it was risky, so you couldn't manage to just walk alone.
Okay.
So but at first when I was joining, we were just 2, but later off, because the school was performing, we got a lot of new admissions. So we got some new students whom we used to work together in the morning, because we used to leave home at around 4:50, from 4:30, 4:40, 4:50 latest. So that one morning I was late, and it was around 4:50. I have an elder brother who used to live at my grandmother's place. When we were vacating, he didn't move with us. So that one morning, I went to check on him so that we can work together at least. But unfortunately, he had left. So I had to walk all alone. And the rest of the students, they had already gone to school. So I didn't have an option but just to walk and go to school as a gentleman. So at around the railway line, that's where I met some guys. So one came from behind. He just held my neck, and he was holding a knife. So he directly pointed it to my chest, and he just said, "Try to shout and it will be done for you." The rest of the 2 guys, they appeared in front. One had a red cloth, a kind of red cloth. So, and the other one was holding a rod.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just heard them say, you really do pretend. You think you are so precious, you are so wise, you are the only guys who can get education around here. I knew those are people who knows me very well, definitely. So after a commotion, I was struggling to let myself go, but unfortunately they managed to take me at around, kulikuwa na kamteremko hapo.
There was like a valley.
Yeah, like a valley. You know those old railway lines. Some are built at a
at a high place.
Yeah, so they went there. I don't know whether to say molested me or they sexually abused me.
Yes.
Yeah. So they did what they were doing, and then I was left unconscious because I can't remember. Lastly, niliacha tukipigana.
Okay.
Yeah, I was struggling for to just
to
go.
Free yourself.
Yeah, but walinishinda nguvu.
Okay.
They did what they were doing.
Yeah.
Then after when I gained my conscience, it was around 6. It was already late. So looking on some things, I was like, I had just walked a few meters from home, so it was easier to go home than to go to school. So I just decided to go back home and have some rest. Yeah, after going back home, I didn't talk to anyone. I remember because my grandmother is asthmatic. She had been sick that night and I had spent the night on. I didn't sleep. So my granny was still sick. So after going back home, I decided to keep silent, walked in my room, rocked myself, because I couldn't manage to just break the news to her, and yet she was sick. So I decided to keep it a secret. But later afternoon, she realized I was around, and she was like, Danny, you didn't go to school. Why? I told her that I was feeling unwell. I prepared and then went back to the room. But then she told me, because she had some cows, you have to go and look for some pasture and feed the cows. So I was like, I don't have to tell her I'm not feeling well, yet she's sick. I just took a rope and a gunia. So I went to the forest, to the bush where we used to go and search for those pastures. So in the process, I thought it was the best time for me to commit suicide, yet I was going a lot. I was passing through a lot. I didn't just say, it was a hard time getting school fees, doing some casual jobs so that I could get something, at least help my parents to pay the fees. So I felt that it was too much for me. So I thought of committing suicide. I went up to the tree, tied the rope, and when I was almost putting it on, I heard a voice, and the voice was kind of related to my grandmother's voice. So it was saying, yani, Kamau, my other name, Kamau, you are thinking of committing suicide. What will I tell your parents? What happened? Yeah, so, and I was like, this voice, I can't understand it, but I don't have to do what I'm doing. So I untied the rope, went down the tree, looked for the pasture, then went back home.
I went for therapy, counseling, teaching helped. My name is Nick Mbai, a clergyman by profession and also a practicing counselor. And I do see individuals, I do see couples, and I do see families and also groups in therapy concerning the counseling issues that they may have. Rape victims will take time to come forward. Number one, if the perpetrator is known to them. Like I've mentioned, sadly, it could be a family member, that is a relative, it could be a guardian, and so they are looking up to this person to provide for shelter, for food, for school fees, or whatever kind of support. And they know if I dare talk, I'll be out in the streets without a roof over my head, my education will cease, all the kind of support I got. So in that situation, they will be able to fear. A second scenario is when they are threatened, that if you dare say this, I will harm you. And so that fear of being harmed also causes them to be able to fear to come out and to take wrong. And that thing is the stigma and the labeling in our society. You know, nobody would want to be called a rape victim. The so-and-so who was raped, the girl who was raped, or the boy who was raped. Nobody wants that label. So because of that, they would rather stay with their shame than come out and be stigmatized by society. They're already hurting. And by them coming out, perhaps they think if people will be against them, it is like adding salt to their injury.
So that was a failed failed plan.
Suicide attempt.
So that was the first time, but I was still in total pain. You know, the incident had just happened some few hours. So I was in total mess, total pain. So I went back. The second day I didn't went to school. The third day was that second day I remember calling my friend and I explained what was happening to me, and he advised you're supposed to go and see a doctor because if it passes the 72 hours you'll either be at a risk of getting HIV or other transmittable diseases. So I had to go. The third day I went to Kabiro dispensary. I met Dr. Kafiro, and thanks so much to that guy. He assisted me, but he instructed, that was just a clinic. You have to go to Muranga level 5. So I had to go. He organized and hooked me up to Muranga town. So I went.
That is a more advanced hospital.
Yeah, more advanced hospital.
Yes, yeah.
For
a proper checkup.
Yeah, for a proper checkup and some surgery. I had to undergo some surgery.
Yes. If you don't mind, why did you have to undergo the surgery?
Yeah, it was really a bad damage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. There was no other option than surgery. So when I went to the hospital, the doctor did a checkup on me. Then that's when he instructed I had to undergo a surgery. But before that, he told me that I have to break the news to one of my confidants. And by then, my mom was the most person that I trusted. She was my confidant. So the mom was called. She came.
Your mom?
Yeah, my mom. So if I may say, that was the first and very moment when I saw my mom breaking into tears. She couldn't expect such a thing. Yet I was very hardworking, everything. I was so religious. Still, I was so stressed, and kind of, she had gotten some news from grandma that I'm not such cooperative that like I used to be. So something wrong was happening. So that time is when she realized what was happening. But she walked the journey with me. I underwent the surgery, the medication, still therapy, counseling.
You were counseled, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to meet up with other guys who had underwent
Group
such
therapy.
situation. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
After the surgery, and I started the healing process on counseling, therapeutic counseling. That is,
Rape is alive and kicking in our society, and it is more and more being highlighted by the media. Perhaps it is something that many have suffered in silence for a long time, but it is a thing that we should be aware of, be able to protect our young boys and our men, because it's something that is happening to them equally and damaging as much as it also damages our sisters. And therefore, if this thing is discovered or is heard of, let us also take care of our male victims as much as we take care of our female victims. When you do encounter a rape victim, there are a number of things that you have to take into consideration. And number one is their own welfare. Are they okay? And the situation is the threat still present? Is this perpetrator still within the vicinity where they can be able to harm them again? Number two, do they need medical attention? And number three, do they need to report? Is it a police case? Is it something they need to take legal steps? And of course, number 4, to be able to recommend to them about the psychological help they may need to be able to deal with the situation.
I told you that I had to drop out of school because of stress, depression. So for a full term 3 of term 2, I didn't attend. So when I came back the following year, I had to repeat. And remember, I didn't say this, I was not brought up in that well-off family. So getting the school fees was a problem. And sometimes I would be sent home, I go hustle, then come back. So at that one moment, it was one of the stresses that I had still, because I'm passing all through this, then this is happening. So I felt like God hates me. But through the counseling session, I got some courage and I started recovering story by story. But actually, after getting back to school, I failed the first exam, I got a D+, and when I was leaving, I had a B plane in Form 2, and remember I had repeated, so I really failed, and it is term 1. After that, the principal was so nice. It came to a place, he said, no matter how huge the debt is, I'll never send you home. So, because he came and realized like sending me home is adding me some stresses.
Yes.
So he called my mom and she was told, I'll never send your child home, no matter how huge the balance is, until he finishes. He better be paying later, because we hope for a bright future. Then we shall grant the certificate to him. So that's what happened. I continued with my education until Form 4 when I finished, and actually I left school with a huge balance of 35,000, and that's a lot of money. But I appreciate so much for Mr. Francis Mwangi. He was very encouraging. He would always want to know of my proceedings. He would congratulate me, even if not performing so well, but at least gift me an ananiambia, Daniel, you tried so much. I never understood why by that time, but I came to realize he wanted to motivate me. He wanted to keep me moving. So that's how I managed, and I finished my Form 4. Later, my mom didn't want any place or any instance where I would fell back to the stresses. So immediately after high school, even after having the balance in school, I remember I went to school, asked for the certificate. I was told I couldn't get a certificate, only the slip. So I managed to get the slip. Using the slip, I was admitted to a college in Thika, but still I was asking mom, how can I be admitted? Still I have a debt in the previous high school and I'm now joining college. How? But she said, since the rest are going, you are supposed to join too, because she didn't want any instance that I would be left in Sharks alone. But I joined. It came to a point in second semester, they were struggling to pay. I haven't paid the rent. I'm having school debt in college again. And I sat down and told myself, no, this is enough now. My parents are going through a lot, and still they might end up being stressed. Ama wapate blood pressure or whatever, they die. So nilienda nikawaambia tu vizuri. I told them, let the situation be. We can't struggle to be in class A, whereas we know we are in class C. Let us remain to the status we are in.
Class.
And to the class we are. And because there is nowhere written that you must read or you must get a diploma so that you be successful in life. You can do something else and you make it in life. So that's how I dropped out again in college. I'm up to date.
You've not gone back. So but if you would get resources, you would still go back.
I will.
Okay, now you've talked about what that event did to you psychologically. You've also talked about what it did to you physically. You had an operation. Economically, it's not so much about what happened to you, but the family background. You had all these problems of lack of school fees and all that. What about socially and spiritually? What did that thing do to you? Were you a spiritual person before? Did you question God? You can maybe explain to us.
One, morally, it totally affected me, because I would always think of evil things like committing suicide, like staying secretively. When I was amongst my friends, I would just ask myself, I'm not supposed to be in this group, since why did those guys saw it good to do it to me more than doing it to anyone else? Now, there were a lot of people who had passed by that route, so I was in so many questions. But in faith, still I went down, even if I was a very religious person, because I remember even when they were doing so to me, there is a guy who mentioned that you pretend how spiritual you are, you don't just interact with anyone. Because I remember the place, most of the guys were not proceeding to high school, so they used to smoke, banging, and do some sort of acts that I didn't like, so I wouldn't interact with them. So that's why they felt like nilikuwa na maringo kiasi.
Sadly, in this situation of rape and sexual assault cases, there are also injuries, and the injuries may not necessarily be physical, but on the inside, emotional, spiritual, psychological. And when that happens, if we do not get justice for these people, we not only prolong their healing process, or we give enhancement and empowerment to the perpetrators, because they know either they can bribe their way, or because of lack of proper evidence they can get away with it, and they continue to perpetrate the same and become a serial rapist and that kind of a thing. But most importantly is to know that this individual does need that help, and because they need that help, we must be able to get them all the help they need. And one of the help is to know that justice has been done. The perpetrator is not there to do it again. And I'm sure when they have served their time behind bars, it will be very hard for them to come back and be a repeat offender, because justice has been done. And the victim, as much as they still have work to heal, at least the situation is mitigated in a small way to know that justice has been served. So our government must be in that situation to help these people, to make sure the danger is gotten out of our society. Secondly, to also know that once this justice is served, any other would-be perpetrators are able to learn from that experience and keep off from whatever evil intentions they had, because they know you cannot do it and go scot-free. They will think twice before they even attempt it.
Later I came, little by little, I gained the courage, the faith, I was strong again. Yeah, and I believe that God can't just give you a burden that you can't be able to carry. Yeah.
So most of like when I've done research on when I'm researching on interview to do with the men who have faced rape, of being sexually abused, there's a question that's normally asked to those men, which I'd like to ask you. When that happened to you, did you feel emasculated? Did you feel like it deprived you a bit of your male, what did they call, emasculated male identity, something of the kind?
Yeah, it is kind of, cause after that things happen, you feel like, what did those people see in you that is not in you? See, you feel like maybe there is some specification that you have that maybe someone else don't have, or maybe it is just something that they are used to. Yeah, but generally unasikianga
you're feeling bad.
Yeah.
Okay, what did your family say about the issue and you speaking out about it?
Let me be clear on this. I know in most instances it is taken like it is an evil. It is evil, or somehow it is disrespectful, or kind of you are exposing your family or your issues, and mostly to a man they feels like you are doing something that is unworthy. Most At first, when I did the first interview, most of the guys were coming to my inbox telling me that you are doing it for fame, of the fame that I have not yet gotten. I'm doing it for money, which money? But people must talk. In whether you are giving a positive story or a negative one, I know people must talk. So even some relative went against it, and they were really condemning me. But I told them that's my story. I'm an overage, I'm a grown-up person, and I felt like speaking out is what gonna heal me.
Whether people believe you or they don't, whether other people support you or not, you should at least be able to seek reliable help so that you find your healing. And once you have found your healing, then what other people believe or say may not affect you as much as if you are still hurting and they are adding all these other things. You know, you cannot do anything about what people believe and what people say, but you can take care of yourself. And so once again, I would advise this person to seek help and find their personal healing. And once they have found that healing, whatever people say, they don't believe them, they don't support them, at least this healing mitigates the deep hole they were in, and so they're able to move on. And the beauty also is, even though 1-2 people don't believe, there are those who will believe and support them. So cast their net wider, and wherever support is gotten, if it's the religious community, then so be it. That's the support they will thrive on. If it's the counseling fraternity, the therapist, the counselor they are seeing, then that is the support that is most important. If it's the religious leader, and that is the person giving them that support and a shoulder to lean on, then that is very important. So somebody, when they seek reliable help and find their healing, it helps them to navigate a landscape where other people, perhaps even people who are very close to them, do not believe their story.
Who was your support system? Was there anyone else besides your mom, or it was just your mom?
When?
A support after the ordeal happened. Who did you find strength in? Who did you lean on? It can either be an institution, your mother, or you can share with us.
Okay, after that instant, my mom, the Dr. Kafiru, principal was very, very supportive. He could always check on me, as I said. He could always keep talking to me so that at least the mentality would change. Then the doctors were very supportive. Through when I was undergoing the therapeutic counseling, it was nice. Then I got to heal slowly by slowly. Mom was always on my side. Yeah, so that's how I managed. So
that was your, so it's very important to have a good support system.
Yeah, sure.
It helps a lot.
Yeah,
So
sure.
second last question. What's your advice to society, perpetrators of this heinous crime, and victims?
To me, one, the act is not right. One, it is harmful to the occurrence is harmful to the one who is getting to be abused. Yani inakuanga uchungu sana. It is so painful. Actually, to one who has passed through that, I know it is not easy to accept it. It has been a journey, and I know. Again, it is good to always forgive. I sat and said, maybe they never knew, or they never knew what they were doing, or maybe they were just doing it out of maybe effects of drugs or something. Yeah, so I forgave them, and first step of healing is forgiving. So I got to forgive them wherever they are, but I asked God to be with them and maybe help them change so that they won't do it to someone else. It really do affect. Then to the society, they do, yani wakuwe one of the support system. Unajua, whenever the society realizes that you had gone through a certain problem, some do
stigmatize.
Yeah, they stigmatize one.
So it should stop.
Yeah, should stop completely. They should be amongst the support system. They talk to you, encourage you. You might get even your pastor is not supporting you. Yeah,
And you never know who it can happen to.
Yeah, you don't know even whether it will happen to your son one day or to you personally. So they should support the perpetrators and urge, if you are planning or you had been doing this, it is better you take a move or you change, because it is just a bad act. Yeah, and you get punished of this.
I would want to tell us as a society that this thing is damaging to the victim, and it's an evil that must be stopped in our society. So what we need is to make sure we sensitize our people so that we protect our young, we protect the elderly, we protect the middle age. At every age in our society, we do find they are at risk. So let's highlight this issue and let us protect our own. And whether they are people known or people who are not known to the victims, as we've mentioned, justice needs to be done. But also, most importantly, the healing of the victim should be number one on the list. Let us seek out help wherever we can. If you know somebody, connect them with a source that they can be able to get help. Even if it would cost money and you can afford to pay a session for somebody, please do it. If you can help them to get justice, then help them to get that justice. But we should not let our victims in our society to suffer in silence. Yes. Our society will be as good as if all of us are well and thriving and going after our dreams in society. And we are not succeeding if we leave any of us behind because of an assault or violation that they have faced in their past.
Okay, now you've been, you opened up to your mother, she was your confidant. There's a time you could not talk about it, but now you're talking about it even in media. It's something that some people can say it's an embarrassing thing. So you're talking about it. Why do you talk about it? What does it do to you? Yeah.
Kalecha, let me say, first, you know, when something like this happens to you, you are like, you question God one, and you are like, you are blaming, you carry the blame yourself. So I decided to do it so that I can heal and also help someone somewhere who is suffering silently, because I know how it feels.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're parting short what you're doing now, what you need, your career path and all that, and if there's an appeal you'd like to make.
To my viewers, one, as I introduced myself, I'm Daniel Kamawirongo, but still I'm a musician, a gospel musician. Again, I'm an actor. So if you wanna get my videos, I'm Danny K, D-A-N-N-I-E, then K on YouTube. You can get my videos. Again, in comedy, I'm Danny Kamrembo. I'm Kamresh. So you can still get me on YouTube. Apart from that, currently from March, I hadn't in any position. I hadn't been working, and I would urge anyone who has got a job opportunity. I have specialized in hotel and catering management. That was I was doing out of passion. I joined college to do hotel and catering. So if there is someone who can offer any job opportunity in hotel industry or wherever, I would appreciate. Still, if you can be there and you want to support me to continue with my education where I left, I will really appreciate. It will be a privilege and I will really appreciate. For that, I thank everybody who had been studying with me. Actually, let me say, after the first story, I got another support system. That is Mom Ann Madhaya from USA. She had been talking to me, motivating me, telling me that everything gonna be alright, and I believe so. Soon, and really soon, things wanna be good. So, you guys, you can visit me on YouTube. You subscribe to my YouTube channel, watch my music, watch my comedies. I will really appreciate. Then you can get me on my hotline, that is 0759 475 093. That is 0759 475 093.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
There you've heard Daniel's story. You can get in touch with him through his contacts to give him support. It's been another episode of Kaleke's Health Moments. Until next time, it's bye-bye from us.